Very good.
All right, I want you to look for me. We're going to have a look at the physical shape of the sine and cosine graph and the sine and cosine derivative. So instead of doing an algebraic proof, which would involve sum and difference of angles for sine and cosine, and incorporating the limit into it, sine of x over x as x approaches 0 is 1, and you know the rest. So instead of doing that, we're going to take an analytical graphical approach to it. So let's have a look. So let's go ahead and graph the sine of x for all of those that haven't seen it in a while. What just happened?
There's no space in. Oh,
there you go. So there it is. The axes is in radians. So there are 0 radians. There's 3.14159 radians, and there's 6.28 approximate radians. Okay. So that's the graph of sine. Now let's have a look at the derivative of sine. So you see that I've labeled sine f, and I've labeled this f prime. You may not be able to see that, it might be small, but that says f prime. So when I go and turn this equation on, you're going to see the derivative of sine. So here's the derivative of sine. Bam. Right? So let's turn it off because there's a lot going on. Okay, now you're looking at the derivative of sine. There's sine, turn sine off. Okay, so you're looking at the derivative of sine. You're like, wow, I've seen that curve before. It starts at a maximum times 0, and it does a full wave, and at about 6.28, it's back at a maximum again with its minimum in the middle. You're like, oh, that looks like. So well, let's just go and check. Let's confirm. So let's go ahead and graph cosine. So, all right, so I'm going to turn cosine on, bam. And you probably didn't see it, but barely there's a slight change. Cosine is green, and f prime, sine's derivative is blue. So I'm going to turn cosine off, so it's going to go from green to blue, there. And then I turn cosine back on again, it's laying directly over it. If I turn f prime off, you're only left with seeing cosine. So, sine's derivative is, as a group, cosine. All right, so let's go ahead, turn that one off now. Let's look at cosine. All right, that's cosine, we're looking at it. Let's find out what its derivative looks like. So there's its derivative. Right, so some people might think sine. So let's turn cosine off and have a look at it. Oh, you're onto something.
It's like negative sign.
You're negative sign, very good. You're like, you're onto something. It starts at a midline, has a midline point, and ends on a midline. Yeah, that's good. But it's upside down. It's a reflection. So as you said, anonymous student over there, it is negative sign. So let's go ahead and graph negative sign and compare negative sign of x. Oh, look at that, right on top. Perfect. So that's all we're doing for today. So we can do all the problems, all the change in line, everything that it does with that. But sine's derivative is cosine, and cosine's derivative is sine, and we are done. Negative sign, thank you. Cosine's derivative is negative sign, thank you. All right, student at the front, would you turn it off?